This is the first hole, and I'm just astounded at how there is active disease. This is pink snow mold off the greens. So this is in the fairway and the approach, and then coming up onto the green, there is very little disease. Even though the grass is quite susceptible to that disease and the disease is active, on the green we can only find a few small spots, but generally it's below the disease threshold, and this can just be treated with spot sprays, which I think I saw on your schedule for this afternoon, Jason. Spot spray?
Yeah, we'll spot spray a contact fungicide to these spots so that we prevent spreading them when we inevitably have to mow this time of year. And it takes less time than a full spray with our big sprayer. It costs us about $2 to $5 in chemical, and it just allows us to extend those intervals much further, because we do get disease and we do make it worse with our mowers.
Welcome to Cart Rides with Micah. I am here with...
I'm Jason Haines. I'm the course superintendent at the Sunshine Coast Golf Club.
Jason, I'm so glad to be here. Should we go have a ride around and look at the grass?
Let's go.
I don't see a lot of disease on the green. However, there's clearly active disease. This is pink snow mold, where right at the edge of the green there's plenty of disease activity. What's going on?
Well, a number of things. It's obviously we do still require fungicides, so it's been 80 days since we put out a fungicide, which for us is a massive interval. Normally it's every 2 to 3 weeks through the winter time here. The pink snow mold is a big problem. We manage the greens obviously quite a bit different than the collars, and a big difference for that is we roll the collars and we don't roll we roll the greens, we don't roll the collars. So maybe that has something to do with it. Last year we rolled our greens 150 times, and through the winter we generally roll 4 times for every mowing. We currently haven't cut these greens. They were covered in, well, we haven't cut them in 17 days. They were covered in snow for about 14 of those 17 days. So we measure clippings to reduce our mowing through the winter so that we're not cutting the grass, wounding the grass, spreading that disease around unless we have to.
I am astounded that you haven't applied a fungicide for 81 days, and you recently had 14 out of 17 days with snow cover on the greens, and yet we're not seeing a proliferation of fusarium, or pink snow mold.
I'm just as surprised as you are. I mean, this is our biggest interval that we've had. You know, there's no really real way to know why. I mean, maybe it could be that we haven't applied potassium in 3 months. Maybe. I don't know. You know, I take every single thing when it comes to IPM, integrated pest management, for pink snow mold, and we do every single one of them. So combined, maybe that's what it is. We still rely on fungicide. I mean, but for the most part, once we can get that disease in check, it really doesn't come back.
So you're saying that the reason why I can see the active disease here is because this was not treated with fungicide in the autumn at all. So it's 2023, it's March. The last fungicide on the greens was in 2022.
Yeah, mid-December.
But it received, through the autumn, it received some applications, but this did not.
Nope.
So this is completely untreated. It's also not rolled, and perhaps the soil has a bit more potassium in it too.
Potentially, yeah.
If potassium has anything to do with it.
If it does, yeah. So yeah, that's a good assessment.
This is the shadiest green, Jason. I heard it used to be closed.
Yeah, normally in the past this would be closed through the winter. It doesn't see sun from about mid-October, mid-November till about mid-March. Directly to the south of us here is a park with 1,000-year-old trees that we're not allowed to cut down. So our strategy has been we stop mowing it in October, and we resume mowing it again mid-March. We also focus a lot on keeping density in the fall, and being in a shaded area, algae and cyanobacteria are a big problem. So we use fertilizer like 2100 ammonium sulfate, and if we do need to use a fungicide, we'll use chlorothalonil, something that has a secondary benefit to keeping that algae away. Once we get through the fall and that period of warm and dark, we really don't have any disease issues. And since we've taken this approach, we've been able to keep the screen open all winter long, despite having elevated rounds due to COVID and the recent golf boom. So it doesn't play the same as the rest of our greens. It's usually about a foot or two slower, but for the most part, golfers are just happy to have it versus a temporary.
Greens look so smooth. I want to see how the ball rolls. Pretty nice for March. And how many maintenance staff? 4 maintenance staff?
Well, we've had 3 for the last few weeks, yeah.
So relatively few maintenance staff. Green's getting mowed today for the first time in 18 days, I believe. So it's got relatively low growth rates. And the green speed was measured today at 10. I'm just impressed at how little disease there is and how good the quality of ball roll is. And it's interesting also, when we do the OM246 measurement, and we did a particle size analysis, a sieve analysis for the sand fractions on the OM246 this year, after the samples in December were burned at the lab to measure the mass loss on ignition for the organic matter. And there's a lot of fine materials in the root zone. So there's a higher than recommended amount of fines, and the organic matter, the total organic material, is about 10 to 12% in the top of the root zone. But that also means the grass is healthy and the putting surface is quite nice, and underfoot I assess it as being an acceptable firmness level for this type of golf course and this type of membership. So I'm quite impressed. I wanted to come see for myself. Yeah, that's nice. I would not complain. I'm not complaining.
Too bad you can't putt. Well, a lot of our soil specs, like the amount of fines and our organic matter, might cause a lot of people to panic. I have a really good natural indication of how our greens perform. We had 2 elk walk across the green this morning and cause almost no damage. So when you have a 2,000 to 3,000 pound animal walk across the green, that's a pretty good indication that they're firm enough. Welcome to my office. This is where all the magic happens.
This is your heads-up display?
Yeah, that's all of our grass data, playability on the left, equipment data, fertilizer and fungicide data on the bottom, moisture data on the right, and right front and center is our growth ratio.
It does not take a huge amount of time to measure clipping volume. So I often say for a triplex, you can expect it to be something like 90 seconds or less. Not a huge volume today.
What did you get? 2 liters.
2 liters from this green. And that took 40 seconds.
Yeah, and that's exactly what our expected clip vol was today. I think that works out to be about 5 milliliters per square meter. It's our Google form that we use to put the data in to our database, 102, 147. This uses the Breedy equation. The smoothness scale, I'm going to say they're 7. And then firmness, they're okay underfoot. They're not excessively soft or excessively firm. Submit, and there you go. It's into our database.
And does that automatically update your...
It goes to our current conditions website, so it does take a few minutes to update. But this is the what the members see. Let's see if it'll update here with the latest green speed. No, it won't update yet. It takes a while. But you can see here the previous green speed we had, maybe about 9.7.
Was that yesterday after a roll?
That was yesterday after one roll, and then you can see we've had no data here because we were covered in snow. So today we're cutting our grains. So that was to make them a slightly more smooth, because yesterday we were at a 6, and so far today we're at a 7. So once we hit them with a roller tomorrow, they'll probably be an 8 or a 9.
All right, Jason, what's the OM2 on this? We've just taken a core out of the screen.
I think the average OM2 on our course has gone up in the last 2 years to about 12%.
So that's about 12% total organic material, living and dead. So that's thatch and roots and rhizomes and everything, stems in the top 2 centimeters. I'm just curious, the soil will be at about field capacity because it was covered in snow, and then that snow melted and the evapotranspiration rate has been low. Can you squeeze water out of there? Okay, there's just a little bit. So at this level of OM2, you're able to squeeze water out, and that's an indication. I'm curious about what level you cannot, like if it's at like 7% or 6% where you couldn't, but clearly at this level of organic matter of about above 10%, you're able to.
Yep.
This green has the lowest organic matter. It's the one that is in the shade. It's in the heaviest shade. So we'll check.
And the roots, not very deep.
We'll check if we can squeeze water out of that.
It's really hard.
Yes, but yes. And is that 9% or something? I can't remember.
So. Yeah, it's our lowest organic matter level. So it's always our driest green in the summer. It's much firmer underfoot. And it was recently sodded in 2017, so there is a young root zone in that top 2 inches or 2 centimeters. So, yeah.
But we can still squeeze a little bit of water out of it.
A little bit of water out of it, yeah.
At field capacity.
Yeah. But it's significantly more difficult to get that out.
Now you go down to like the 6 centimeter depth, and I don't think you can squeeze, can you?
No, it just
so that's more like a bunker sand type of material.
Yeah. And then you can see here's an iron layer. We have lots of iron layers here. Lots of iron in our soil and in our water.
I see you've cut down some trees, but there's also some beautiful specimen trees out here I don't think you'll be cutting.
No, and as much as I hate to say it, one of the things that makes this course special is the giant old growth trees. We have trees that are 400 to 600 years old on the course. And actually one of the things we've been doing lately has been cutting down some of the smaller trees around them to just make those giant tree trunks pop a bit more and just stand out from the rest.
Right at the green edge, there is this explosion of disease. But on the green, there's nothing. Do you have a GPS sprayer?
No, I have just the old 3-boom sprayer. So obviously there is quite a bit of precision there. This is certainly a good view of the impact of how fungicide can reduce disease. And like the disease is quite elevated right where we stop spraying, right where we stop rolling, right where there's quite a bit of traffic, and where there is potentially sometimes the overlap with fertilizer as we try to get higher growth rates in the collars.
But then we come up here just 2 meters off the green,
yeah,
and there's much less disease.
Exactly, and I mean we're mowing that less frequently than we would our greens and collars. There's less traffic from turning equipment and golfers. A lot of golfers just walk right along the edge. And who else? Who knows what else? But there's no fungicide here either. There, over
I'm using the the frost drop right now.
So we're mowing the fairways when they're frosty. But
Yeah, we often get frost pop up midway through mowing. We've never seen any damage from that on fairways, so we just keep doing it. The biggest problem is the ice buildup on the rollers, which we have to break off every few passes.
no damage to the grass.
Other than the ice gouging from the rollers, but if we break that off, then it's not a problem. No.
What's going on, Jason? You doing the 2-green system here like they do in Japan? Why is there a green in the fairway?
Because we still use temp greens for frost delays.
Frost delays? Come on, man. Aren't you on board with maybe frost delays don't need to be a thing?
I am. I'm also kind of on board that maybe they are. So not totally confident in when it's safe to golf on frost yet. We also, even when we've tried to open greens on frost, the golfers don't want to do it. They think they're going to wreck the course.
So but are people playing on frosted fairways? And
Yeah.
are they playing on these temporary greens when
Yep.
it's frosty?
Yep.
And I don't see any damage.
No.
So
No. We've only seen damage from one maintenance cart on one day this year from frost.
okay.
But that's it. Like no golfer related damage. We never close our tee boxes. We don't close our practice green, and it regularly has people golfing on it in frost with no damage. So it's just kind of getting over that point and being able to have a little bit more confidence in that decision. It's we'd probably be just fine.
Thanks a lot, Jason. I had a great time visiting, and I'm very impressed with the grass conditions.
Well, thanks for coming out, Micah. It's always a treat to see you in person and to tour the course with you, finally.
Yeah, it's not the easiest place in the world to get to, but I'm glad I was able to fit this into my itinerary.
Awesome.